we just can't seem to beat them. I don't know what it is, but they managed to do it, and then they fell short to Envy, which is what puts them in this position now, facing off against the maybe not as hot-handed TSM as they once were, but still a very formidable opponent, a very powerful opponent, especially when you see players like Subroza really heating up, or even, of course, Wardell with his powerful operator play. We'll see if that's going to be the case here as we are going to kick things off here on Haven.
Yeah, Haven's going to be a very interesting one. The map was pretty much the go-to for TSM in the group stages, or in the early stages until we got here. But it's actually Gen.G's map pick on Haven, which is going to be the interesting point too. So they're willing to bring that fight versus TSM, and at the same time, they believe that that firepower that they added with Shawn is going to be good enough to beat versus TSM. So looking at the map rotations here, it's going to be Haven, then we're going to have Ascent, and a third map will be Split. Let's kick things off here on Haven for this third place matchup between TSM and Gen.G.
All right, well, we are just about ready to jump into things. We'll take a look at the agent compositions. You can see you've got the Omen, Jett, Cypher, Sova, and Phoenix play coming in from TSM. The Phoenix going to be, of course, none other than Drone. And Cutler's on the Sova, hazed on the Cypher. Again, TSM constantly on the agent role juggle. Shawn picking up the Reyna here, which I love to see. He'll also play as the Sova from time to time, but I really like the way that Shawn plays that role. Here they go fast towards the C site. They've already met with Subroza, who's found two from around the default box. The Cyber cages up and gives them a bit of cover, but there's the heal coming in for the Reyna. Still on site is hazed, able to pick off one before being traded out by Guimon. And it's going to result in a 2-on-3 numbers advantage for TSM as they come in on the retake. Shock Dart comes into position, but won't interrupt the plant. So the spike will go down. And again, it's down to 2. There's the Owl Drone going in first, spawning away positions. You've got Guimon very low on HP, just 9 hit points, trying to survive. Down goes his teammates, all up to Guimon, and there's just no way. TSM retake the site with 3 surviving and a masterful pistol round.
They started things off very well for TSM. Having Subroza and Hayes play inside that C side, they already saw that push coming up, so Subroza slowed it down a little bit with that paranoia that he threw down towards long C. But at the same time, they got a couple of kills before they fell down. So having Cutler being able to rotate with the rest of his teammates and using the Owl Drone to spot out where the remaining players are just made it a lot easier there for TSM to come in back and retake that site. Shawn tried to do what he could on that Reyna to trade it off and try to gain control of that C side, but it just wasn't enough. With him and GMD fragging for that pistol round, the rest unfortunately couldn't hold their ground. So that's going to be the round coming in for TSM. It's going to be an upgraded round for TSM too. We don't really see them trying to keep up with the Ghosts. They're already going with the Spectres. And they're looking to play for some map control towards long A to start things off. They're leaving C. Look how passive C is. They didn't even put trap wires in the main like C main that they want to. It all goes down towards the C site in case people are trying to push further into the site first. So while wanting to play retake for C, they're really putting a lot of pressure towards his mid side in A.
That shock dart, had it gotten around the corner through the doorway, might have resulted in a kill. There's Hayes playing close. Great paranoia to open it up as well. A little extra staying power, compliments of the flash, and Hayes as the Cypher popping off in garage currently. Wants another one as well as MkaeL is around the corner. The classic though will result in his demise, as does the shotgun for huynh. Picking up the kill onto Cutler. 3 players survive though yet again for TSM as they pick up the second round. And the money's a little awkward, losing a few players, but they should be able to juggle some things around to get the buy, and that's the most dangerous portion of the purchase. The up is in the hands of Wardell, unmatched currently on the opposite side by Gen.G.
Yeah, just a nice counter once again. To double up with Hayes and Subroza, it seems as though it might be the trend maybe for how they want to work things out on this C side or the left side of the defense of the map. The paranoia combined with the Spectre was good enough to just hold Gen.G in their tracks to try to take control of this garage. But now they don't really mind actually going for a lower buy, for example, for Hayes having to go with a Bulldog here and Spectres at the keep in the previous round, just because they have that op in the hands of Wardell. And look at how it's pushed up so aggressively from Subroza though. So Wardell's going to take control of this garage. Subroza pushes up towards that window side, but as they don't find any opposition, they decide to turtle back and play more passively. But now they're going to keep Gen.G guessing. Are they going to keep playing aggressively towards its mid side? So they're pushing him towards A, where we have a great position from Drone at long C. Or long A, sorry.
Ooh. So much for great positions. huynh like a bloodhound, and he sniffs out the play. Cutler around the corner with just a Spectre doesn't really stand a chance against the dynamic force that has been Shawn, especially when playing as the Reyna. And at this point, I can see the benefit of a save coming in, potentially. You've got great positioning coming out for Gen.G. It's all 5 players left alive, and they're not moving. So you can kind of see they're just setting up for exit. Subroza's waiting to see if someone's going to updraft or port up into the window with the shadow step from the Omen. You've got Wardell watching the flank from B, and you've got Cutler now watching the flank from C. This is designed to manage to keep the operator in the hands of Wardell for the next round. And that's the right call. I mean, there's just not really much of a chance for them to get back into the site. So it's the first round on the board for Gen.G of a fantastic read from huynh.
Yeah, you see the positioning of where they died as well for TSM, right? As they did a great job pushing Gen.G towards TSM towards the A side. The thing is, they still played very individually for the 2 players inside that site. Drone is in like a do-or-die position at long A, so he has to come up huge, and he wasn't even able to get the first kill versus huynh. So with that, it just gave a lot of map control and site control for Gen.G, where because we've invested so much in, I think I saw a Vandal small shield that hazed still kept into this round. We had an operator, a couple of Spectres, so they lost 1 Phantom, and they kept the Spectre in the end. So the economy, they still just wanted to make it right into this round here. They were okay into that air quote bonus round that they had on a previous round. So we'll see what happens into this one here for TSM as they finally have that firepower. Still has some small shields here and there, but it starts off very aggressively with Wardell pushing up towards this long A. And I'm sure at this point, Drone will probably fall back at some point to help out Soares or help out towards the B side.
That deep cam doesn't give away the position as Wardell was not pushed up quite enough. So the early play still being advanced upon. Over on long A, you've got that Jett holding the op, holding the line. Might have a shot on the Cypher. There it is. So you can see player 1 picked off by the Jett of Wardell. That aggressive play finally pays off. So it's Gen.G now operating at a player disadvantage. All that spam through the cyber cage is so close, doing a little bit of damage. He's hitting them shot after shot in the leg, getting hit by the tripwire though. The Jett's on the site. There's the leer coming out from Shawn, but it doesn't really help too much, as hazed didn't even see it. Wardell on site trying to survive a little while longer, dashing around, did manage to find 3, but huynh is there to save the day. It's all up to Drone. The 1v2. Can the Phoenix manage to make this one work? First kill's there, on the money, but not enough against Shawn. Gen.G narrowly survive it. 1 player escaping with an op, but the money is terrible for TSM. It will be a save coming in.
Yeah, they really wanted to use Wardell as the enabler towards that A side. So him having that ground first, I thought that he was just going to hold that angle, but I still wanted to push forward with him and Drone together to really get that early pick into the mid side and really getting that 1-man advantage in favor of TSM. After that, though, like I said, I love the way that you placed those trap wires inside that C side. You saw that when huynh actually bursted into the site with the tailwind, he got caught by both of them. They could technically wallbang him at that point, but he didn't have that much support after that to move into C. So when he tried to go for that wide swing for the kill, he got spotted from the owl drone. We had another attacker that moved in from the garage side, and that's it. But now this round, though, it's going to be Wardell with 2 kills with the Phantom Knives, but then it's traded off finally by MkaeL.
Great play from Wardell with the ult, making the most out of those knives. Subroza just can't quite get the timing right. MkaeL is waiting and patient as ever. Cutler now holding on to the Odin. Do you know what sound it makes? By any chance, I'm told it makes a specific sound. It doesn't look like we're going to get to find out, as it's going to be a play towards C, and Cutler's all the way across the map, and that's the right call at this point. Hang back, give them the round, potentially find something else of value if you don't want to bring the Odin back into the next round. But we all know how much Sovas love the Odin on this map.
Yeah. Definitely a strong weapon choice, but at the same time, even better, as Cutler gets the upgrade for the operator that they dropped on that previous round that went into the hands of huynh, that actually was traded back by Wardell at that point from, again, aggressive pushes towards the A side that really works out in their favor. So they're really holding back Gen.G here on rifle rounds on this A side, where we see a lot of success from Gen.G pushing into C side. But now that they're going to have Sova with Cutler, but I guess he had the Odin in that previous round, I was going to say he's going to use it towards that garage. But at least the economy is correct for TSM to get that off back in the hands of Wardell. He could still purchase another Odin if he wants to.
Well, the weapons will come out again here for TSM. Again, that op is gifted over to Wardell. He picks it up and says, "Thank you, sir," to his teammate Cutler, who survives the previous round. to make that possible. Chat, if you guys are watching right now, I want to see you guys support your team. So if you think TSM is going to take the series, put your best Pog Slide spam in chat. If you think it's going to be Gen.G, I want to see some cat jams up and down in the chat. We are ready to kick off yet another buy round here. Moving into round number 6. The ult gets popped right off the bat. That's MkaeL sending pulses out with the Hunter's Fury. And he's got the dart going out as well. He did send some damage down range as one pulse connected. Cutler now using the Al drone, looking, searching, and hoping to find a target to sink a dart into. Shawn backs off just enough that that won't be possible. Now you've got Wardell up on top with a big box in B site, so if anyone makes a play towards mid, there's Wardell with the shots in the off, and of course the ever so dastardly escapability. Here comes the play though towards the A site. There's the ult being casted by the Omen. That gives them full site control. And they're going to try to get back in, but this is going to be tough. It's a 5-on-5 retake on the A site.
I'm assuming they should still have a Paranoid to work with, but Wardell is going to be the one that's going to open it up. So he gets the kill onto player 1. That's a camera down, so that's information denied on this attempt of hold for Gen.G inside the site. Wardell continues with the second kill, and they're going to get ready to go for this push right now, but it seems as though we have Huynh that's trying to push back forward, and he gets punished by hazed. So this is going to be huge right now for TSM. Looking to be a flawless retake so far as the hand comes out. The last two get spotted, and that is going to be MkaeL saying, like, you know what? You guys take the round. We'll make it 3-3. I'll save my weapon into the next, but TSM just had a beautiful execution on the retake.
Yep. Gen.G realizes that the site's been lost, and MkaeL bails out. Fantastic retake from TSM, all things considered. That should have been so much harder than it actually was. The neural theft certainly helped, giving away positions of players on the site. The buy will come in yet again. Quinn's got enough cash. Does he go for the op purchase, though? It seems like there's some potential trepidation when it comes to making that big purchase. It's been really interesting to watch the op evolve over the last several weeks, seeing how it's gone from being a guaranteed purchase on a Jett to almost seldom used on the attack, but it looks like Quinn's going to stick with a pistol, dropping a rifle over to a teammate and then pulling out the Blade Storm. So it will be the knives that lead things in for Huynh.
They are looking to press on the other side of the map to start things off here, Bach. They actually do have Wardell pushing forward this time towards C with support from Subroza. And Subroza, with what he has, could still shadow step through the trap wires and go for a big flank if they want to. But they play the angles instead. They're looking for a big push inside B.
Hayes in an interesting position as Huynh flies through the dark cover and gets vertical as well with the updraft. Makes it difficult to spot him, and the spike will be planted. Now Subroza does have a flank play, but oh no, the timing almost worked out so well for player 1. Subroza though has them in a really good spot. As MkaeL is watching the flank, the retake is already underway on the site. Now it's all up to MkaeL yet again. It's not going to happen. Well played as drones run it back. Finally fades. 10-2 for Wardell at the top of the scoreboard for TSM. It will be round number 4 as they steal the lead away. I saw a lot of Pog Slides and a lot of cat jams. It seems pretty even to me as well, and we do have a poll going on currently in the chat. It's currently favoring TSM 57 to, or now it just changed, 58 to 42%. Not too shabby. TSM, maybe if this was a month or two ago, would have been heavy favorites, but with the way that Gen.G played throughout the entirety of this qualifier, I think that's helping deviate the stats a bit.
After that big win versus Sentinels, you definitely...
Oh, that was huge.
You definitely have gained a lot of fandom from that. And when they beat Sentinels, it was like, what, a 13-4, 13-6. They didn't give Sentinels that many rounds either, so they played superbly versus them. But right now, versus TSM, it's still going to stay very, very close, though. It's been back and forth throughout this whole half, and it's going to be them trying to work towards this A site to start. Just before we go for the execution, though, that's what I mentioned before. We saw Subroza went for that flank, and that trap wire is still up there on that minimap, so he probably took that shadow step, and when nobody from Gen.G worried about the flank, that's how they got the retake.
Yet again, it's that sort of passive playstyle from TSM on this A site. They feel comfortable playing retake. We've seen them play aggressive, but they've already retaken the A site once before. The spike, it started to get planted, but then changed positions and has gone to the corner after molly damage, and shock darts came through and dropped a little bit of extra HP chunking away from that Cypher. And now the spike's been planted, and again, it's retake time for TSM. First flash comes out from the Phoenix, that's drone. Wardell now just behind with the op. Subroza again on the back end of the play. getting things set up to port past the tripwire without going a little bit too far into the vision of Gimon, who's holding currently in the sewers. Finally, action starts to happen, and it's going to be Gen.G coming out on top of almost all the exchanges. Cutler, who's trying to come in, has somehow turned it back around and brought it to a 2-on-3, but the time is a problem. And the rip card's already been pulled. You can see Cutler has escaped the spawn, and Wardell will do the same. Both players very low on HP. The spike will detonate, and we continue with our close game as it's tied back up at 4 apiece.
Yeah, and as they planned that plant pretty much for long A, for short, and even from the hell positions that they were at, Gen.G were really in a spot where they just didn't want to show themselves. They even kept a recon dart, waiting for that charge up from MkaeL so they could spot more where that retake is going to be coming from TSM. But at the same time, the biggest play was trying to make sure that they weren't going to get flanked like they did that previous round. So this time, GMD, Gimon watches that flank. He knows that Subroza is going to be lurking at some point, and he was able to win that battle. That was probably that key round, that if Subroza actually got that kill, was going to be that green light for TSM to push in again, just like when they did that retake on that B side. So with that, though, it's a tied up 4-4, and they're still trying to press forward on this long C for Wardell. And Gen.G deciding for these few rounds, the past few rounds, every single time have read things correctly, where they're like always going towards the opposite round of where the pressure is. But that out drone's going to give out their position, and drone peeks out, but he's only good for one. Traded off by MkaeL as they're pushing inside the site. Going to be hard for Hayes to hold it off. He gets paranoid, but still gets the kill onto huynh. As now through the cyber gate, gets the second one, and a third one up to GMD at the graffiti.
I know
Player
exactly
one is
where
going to be
you
just the
are.
last man standing. Kind of a neuro theft. You know, it's not wasted in the eyes of TSM because they just want to make sure that they secure the round, and it's going to be PL1 trying to save his weapon for the rest.
Player one does get a nice pick off there on the Subroza, and with the time being what it is, there's the neuro theft coming through. And feeling pretty confident to go for that peek, hoping to catch Wardell off guard. Not going to be the case today, as we see TSM take the lead back, but it's still a very close game, obviously 5-4 currently. The money is a big problem, though, for Gen.G. The credit's not stacking up quite the way you'd like them to, so Gimon has enough to purchase and then still have money left over for the next round. That's why you see the Phantom come out for the Omen. MkaeL on a Spectre, a Stinger coming out for huynh. Shawn and Player One both on Sheriffs. Very difficult round, but with the way they've gained access to that A site, if they were able to get back onto the site and at least get a spike plant out, that would be huge.
Ooh, I was going to say, that's a missed cyber cage. That could have been an easy kill there for Wardell, but he lets one slip through, and that's going to be MkaeL that's going to drone out the site. With that, though, they're still not pushing forward because they're looking for control inside garage, where huynh gets the pick on the Hayes. That's huge right now.
huynh now getting an upgrade. Cutler picks off Player One with the Hunter's Fury. There's a Paranoia coming out. They dash out onto the site. huynh managed to make it up. There's one right to his right. This is so awkward. But Subroza just sticks around and waits, and oh, that's perfect. Well played from Subroza, and they just never spotted him. Great Paranoia coming out, but it actually goes just wide of Gimon, who will now tap that spike and try to bait out some shots. The Phantom in the hands of Gimon. He's got 45 seconds on the clock to work with. 1 point away from his ult, too. So a kill here could be massive. He's able to pick off one of them, but the one taking point currently is Wardell watching that door. So Gimon's actually wise in his shuffle away from garage. Looks like he'll be repositioning towards B.
It's crazy how they group right now. You have one watching the C entrance in case MkaeL is pushing that area. That's drone. You have one that's watching towards the garage door. That's going to be Wardell. And then you kind of have Cutler helping them out and at the same time watching towards that B lane. So that means it's going to be an easy and open site here for
10 seconds left.
Add 300 credits for the rest of the team. What I liked at least from TSM was Subroza's play. Just a small mistake from Gen.G that ended up being super costly, where you capitalized on 2 kills for Subroza and didn't allow them to get a plant. So let's see if GMD could get this clutch.
Shadows traveling.
Yeah.
No. We good. We good.
Yes, this should do. That goes there.
We'll see what it is that Gen.G is going to bring to the table. Again, looking at that top of the scoreboard, unmatched currently in the performance. Wardell looking fantastic. But it's a team effort from Gen.G that's producing the success. Now, deep cyber cage does allow huynh to get up into position, but Wardell is holding, and apparently he does miss. Running back is popped, and huynh can't quite get away, but at least the kill came through. So not too much to be concerned with. As again, it's pressure towards the A site where we've seen Gen.G find success many times in the past.
Still a great denial to start things off, though. The run it back from drone gets canceled. And also the owl drone, the recon owl that came up towards sewers, kind of gave his position away from that short A, so they have to turtle back a lot here for TSM. So you get a lot of ground advantage for Gen.G if you really want to try to push into the site. But it looks like they're second-guessing themselves, and they're going to try to lurk back towards this B side. The thing is, though, we have Subroza pushed all the way up towards C, so they really could just play a fast rotate from this A side to B, where the information was really going to come in from hazed right now. Camera inside garage is going to give a lot, and also a trap wire on the right side. So that's how he's playing those two angles on his own.
30 seconds left.
Gen.G again falling back and beginning a recommitment towards A. One of the slower plays that we've seen from Gen.G so far. Huynh's going to drop a smoke down and try to push on through. The ult being popped does allow the Omen to get into heaven, but they've still got Phoenix in hell. You've got drones still on site, but they didn't even see him. Somehow not spotted, and everything falls apart. A flawless round from TSM as they turtle up and just wait.
Last round in
Unbelievable patience from Drone as well, playing in hell.
Gen.G just tunnel vision, going into the site. This is the third time whenever they have the ult ready for GMD, he's going to ult into hell, and then they try to get into the site, but take control of graffiti side before they head back into a regular plant, maybe on a default or right side of the site. But this time, Subroza countered back with his own from the shadows and came out at long A when nobody was there. So was actually able to go back through a full teleportation with the ultimate and still get the backstab kill on the plant carrier. So that allowed just TSM to get another big win off the back of Subroza on a flank.
Get out of my way!
Subroza hiding in that dark cover, gonna refresh. And there's that Hunter's Fury coming out. Subroza though misses that first target and then opens up an opportunity. huynh goes down in the flying attempt, but Shawn is there to at least take care of that. Oh man, Shawn through the cyber cage, able to find one more Cutler. Almost got into that corner, trying to survive now. Shock dart coming out, is it enough? No! Player one somehow escapes that ball of lightning as he ducks into the corner. Cutler on 5 HP, but look at the aggression elsewhere. Drone has pushed through the garage, and he's getting a little risky. Curveball goes up, it goes too high, it actually hits the top of the door frame, it doesn't go around the corner. Flame wall coming in, so the flame wall will at least protect him, sort of. As they try to push through it, Drone somehow picks up that second kill. We're down to now 2 against 2, and a player on each side. Heavily scratched up, you've got Cutler, who's scuffed, sitting on 5 HP.
30 seconds
and
left.
On the opposite side, you've got player one, who's not looking too much better. Wardell is across the map, playing a different portion altogether. As the push goes towards that C site, you'll see Shawn and his teammate, player one, trying to secure the spike.
Yeah, I thought Drone was dead to rights after that blaze wall, and even on top of that, the recon dart, but he's just fast. The reaction time was amazing there for his point. Now it has to be a 2 versus 2 where you have to play a retake no matter what. Position's going to be given away as Cutler breaks that trap wire, but he's looking to go for that individual play just before he was trying to deny that plant. But now that it's planted, he's just going to wait for Wardell to come. So let's see if they can do it. The advantage definitely comes in for Gen.G right now with the position that they have on the post plant.
Cutler. In a tough scenario with just 5 HP, going to put a lot of pressure on Wardell. There's the deep dart going in, does give away at least one of their positions. As they try to work their way in, they'll take out the cam first. It's down to Cutler now against Shawn. Shawn looking for the ace with just 5 HP. He doesn't stand a chance. Shawn with a massive ace to deliver the final round of the first half into Gen.G's lap. And again, it's going to be that close half, 7-5, your final score as we swap sides.
This I had an idea that it was going to be a banger, but I didn't think it was going to be this close too. But it's been back and forth. We talked about how not many teams from these two teams, TSM or Gen.G, had a chance to really run away with the half. It's been fairly even. A 7-5 scoreline is very close as well. And you're looking at the record of TSM walking into this tournament on Haven. They're currently at 5-0, just playing on Haven themselves, while Gen.G is at 3-0. Yet this is still Gen.G's map. So they're comfortable to bring that fight versus TSM, as we mentioned before. And it definitely showed from the way that they executed and the way that they played on the attacker side here to start things off.
I mean, that play from Drone was huge there. It almost set them up, but it wasn't quite enough. Back into the action we go as the second half commences. TSM on the attack, trying to gain access to the B site. huynh does some decent damage, sticks around a little too long, and Guimon not able to best Wardell in the fight.
Blocking sight.
However, they're going to be moving over towards C, so they get that B control, and they're going to split towards the C site instead. There's a gap in the cloud burst that allows a little bit of damage to be dealt. Player one just keeps tapping, and eventually Wardell kind of wanders into it. And it'll give Gen.G a little bit of a leg up, but they still have the disadvantage. It's a 4-on-3. The spike's been planted by TSM.
This is a really big strat. They had to come up huge with the kills in the front, but let's see the retake attempt from Gen.G as they're all grouped up towards the spawn side. The first one to beat to get information, it is going to be hazed. Wide swing as MkaeL punishes him for that. Now he spots a couple more, but his teammates blocked him to start things off, and player one gets picked in the face just behind. And that is going to leave now Shawn on a 2 versus 1 with the clock still ticking on that spike. He's trying to move forward, switch it to the ghost, but you could tell that it's pretty much over at this point. When the spike is planted all the way back there, it's GG. A nice round coming in for TSM. It is going to be 8-5. But as I mentioned here, Bach, before, those kills had to come up huge from Drone and from Wardell inside that B site, because those kills forced a rotation out of Garage, which allowed 2 more players to just lurk into that area, and a last player to play towards C to basically go for a triple pinch inside that C site. They ran in from all the entrances possible into the C side. So very well done there for Wardell and for Drone to run through Subroza's smoke at the beginning.
Here.
Well played in the pistol from TSM. Gen.G, a little bit of an investment. You've got Shawn with the Sheriff, a frenzy for huynh. The rest of the team, though, on classics. So it could be a 9th round coming in here from TSM unless they make some massive mistakes. I like the aggressive play coming out from Gen.G, and it's been left unchecked. Now, Wardell is here, but Wardell doesn't really have the firepower you would want, given what's happening currently. Wardell's holding just a ghost. He does have full armor, at least, but things could get ugly real fast here for Wardell. There's the smoke coming in, but he's just prepared, too aware of what's coming that direction. Needs some backup, though. The Cloudburst comes out at a bad time, but it's Drone who just mops up 4 kills for the Phoenix as the Bulldog just lets loose. Again, it wasn't a buy or anything from Gen.G. They stacked their pistols and hoped for the best. It didn't work out so well for them. But even still, could have been a little bit spicier had Drone not been there with the backup.
Yeah, no, definitely the chat at this point went from Whiffdell to Goddell, because they're just always like bipolar when it comes to how they want to support Wardell. And I think Wardell played that superb. Even though he only got 1 kill, that 1 kill was important enough to let his teammates know and give him time to rotate too. Because as they're walking out from that window side to try to kill him, he's still staying alive with the cloud burst and allowing Drone to come back. If he died first, it would have definitely been TSM in a pickle, because that spike was right next to them on that ledge at A, so they would have control of that spike. Thankfully, though, even if Wardell died, he only had to go 2, so no real upgrade for Gen.G.
Here comes the lead into the C site, and it starts with Drones run it back. They dash in as well with Jett, so that's Wardell flying into position. Kills going back and forth in both directions, but it is going to be TSM who comes out on top of those fights. And now it's down to just 2 yet again here for Gen.G. They have a massive disadvantage, as the C site has proved to be somewhat difficult for them to hold.
Planted.
In the first full buy round of the second half. MkaeL knows there's one. You can see the pings coming down. Waiting on the other side of that door is hazed. It's all about who's going to be more patient here, and patience doesn't really have anything to do with it in the end. It just ends up being a battle of who's got more health. It's now down to Shawn. He picked up an ace at the final round of the first half, but not able to repeat that success here. 10 rounds, double digits for TSM.
Yeah, at this point now, when it was so back and forth, when you had Gen.G on the attacker side, they're still trying to find their footing. I'm not saying that it is over yet, because they only had an eco on that previous round, but that gun round definitely showed how strong TSM could be on their execution, and watching each other's back at this point too. So Gen.G, at this point, is going to be another mixed buy. Hopefully they can get something crazy out of this round so they could maybe bring the economy back and at least that morale into the second half. But TSM are looking much stronger now from that first half. They're finally warmed up and they're here to play.
No more charges left.
Player one. Just a sheriff to work with. Early intel gathered. Knows there's players moving towards C, but really what can be done? Iman has a great flash that comes through, somehow gets the kill on the drone, but Wardell goes on a shooting spree. Gen.G gonna get at least one kill as player one steps up with the sheriff, but not exactly the home run they needed. It's more of a sacrifice bunt. It's gonna come down to a 2-on-3. You've got Shawn moving into position. The stinger does work out okay for the Reyna. MkaeL just behind. No surprise that Shawn is one of the players in this position. He's been here before, and he's managed to find success for them in the past. Out goes the Lear, the dart giving away their positions, but it's a great spike plant position coming in for TSM. Now there's weapon upgrades on the site, and you can see Shawn's the first one to try to grab one. Recon dart does go out, gives away positions. They know that there's no one on the site currently. It'll be a difficult scenario for them, and yeah, now it's even harder. They needed that rifle to survive, and it doesn't. 11-5, TSM controlling the second half thus far.
You still have to give it to both Sova's, MkaeL, and Cutler from the way that they're playing the recon darts at the right moment too. The first one that was thrown from Gen.G side on that 2 versus 2 attempt to the retake allowed them to know that both players are falling back towards long C. And then Cutler to retaliate back. Actually, it did ping Shawn on the back of the platform. And they knew since the second one was already tapping onto that spike, they had the perfect angles and knew where to look and place their crosshairs on that double peak to make sure that they won the fights. And again, it all comes down to aim and who's better at that point in that specific moment. And it was definitely Shawn unfortunately not letting.
This is a great start to the round, though, for Gen.G as Quinn and MkaeL both get in on the action right off the bat. You've got the op pick coming in from the Jett, and then, of course, the Hunter's Fury finds success. So what do? They decide to go back to C. They've had success there in the past, and they're going to keep working that until it doesn't anymore. Cutler will pick off one on the attempt to take. Player one with a trade. The most promising round we've seen for Gen.G in this half so far. And the jumping pistol proves to be a nuisance, but it's actually player one with the shot through the dark cover and the edge of the wall to close out the round for Gen.G. 3 players survive, and they can start to build a half around it.
Yeah.
Thing is, their margin for error is slim. 11 rounds already for TSM. You know, if you looked at the scoreline now, you'd say, wow, this isn't really much of a close game. TSM's kind of run away with it. Well, no, not really. That first half was so incredibly close, and some of those rounds could have gone either direction. It's just in the second half, they haven't managed to like really pick things up, but now is maybe that opportunity for them.
Yeah, and even then, when you lose pistol and you lose third round, it's so hard for you to build your economy back. But now that they finally won that last round convincingly from dropping 2 players early into the round, and you see how Wynn's being a lot more aggressive with the operator and getting those first picks, that could be the momentum shifter for Gen.G to take this game back into their hands. But the thing is, both of these teams have 4 ultimates to work with this time, and TSM, because they won 1 round in a row, they have so much money to work with to get into the C side.
Careful now.
That soft C site exposes its even softer underbelly. There's no defense currently on the site, and TSM attempts to deliver a coup de grace to Gen.G. Now there's the ult being popped. Omen now getting back behind enemy lines. Both Omens actually using the ults. So both getting some intel on the play. The Owl drone flies right past Wardell, who's now trying to get inside that cyber cage to get away. And again, they'll escape towards long, and they'll play for the post plant. Now the spike isn't perfectly planted for them, so it's going to require a little bit more proactive effort as they've now gone onto the site, tapping the spike. Hunter's Fury comes out, but it's a little bit early as the pulses go down range, but they're not actually on the spike as of yet. Pulses still coming out as they now jump onto that spike. They're about to get it potentially. That shock dart may have been enough, but it ends up working out in the end for TSM. It was tough to see what was going on with the defuse as the battle was really taking place on long. You saw bodies changing positions, shuffling around like it was 3-card Monty. But in the end, it was not good enough for Gen.G. They couldn't secure that spike defusal. 12 rounds on the board for TSM. The margin for error completely gone.
That was insane how that retake went for both the teams at that point, because you saw at first how much respect Gen.G has given to Wardell, because they spotted him with the Owl drone, but they never really wanted to peek out to fight against him. Like, well, Wardell's still watching the angle with the operator. Let's try to hold back for a bit. And as he dashes back into the side, the Owl drone continued forward, and they spotted a couple more. So it just became a spam fest through smokes, through clouds, shock darts all over the place. But in the end, with the sliver probably left in the defuse, we had to force MkaeL off the spike 2 to try to win that 1 versus 1. And thankfully, it came down to time off that spike going off. But it was very, very stressful for TSM at that point. You saw the desperate shock darts that came through. But at least they have this map point. It's 12-6, and it's also a broken economy for Gen.G because of that reset.
No more meddling.
Subroza picks off the first of the defense. Player 1 does do significant damage. An additional damage dealt as well to Cypher. Subroza finding another kill on the huynh as he clips the bullets through the wall. Gimon, yeah, he'll hear it, spots out the positional change coming in from Subroza. And that's at least a nice opportunity for Gen.G to try and find a bit of an opening. Again, though, they're at the disadvantage, and even more so, I don't think they realize that Cutler has actually made it out onto C.
Yeah.
He's up
30
on top
seconds
of the
left.
stacks in the corner. The rest of the team is starting to make their way out, and they're going to secure the spike.
Spike
Now,
planted.
Gimon is stuck in a really difficult position because he's got players coming in potentially through doors. That's Drone, who's sitting on the back end of the play, and then he's got players waiting for him in the C side as well. So he really needs his teammates coming in from spawn to put pressure on TSM.
One player
All
standing.
pushed through. But it's a trade-off and an advantage for TSM. So it's leaving only one more player, and he gets picked up by Wardell. And
Attackers
TSM
win.
will take this first map, 13-6 on Haven
What is your
versus
family's
Gen.G.
next?
Big performance coming out.